So we talk about curriculum development this morning. We're going to talk about applying rigor in selecting and prioritizing your standards for your curriculum development. And we're going to examine the term rigor. Rigor doesn't mean so hard that only 2% of your students make A's. Rigor doesn't mean I made that test so hard that no one made an A on it, or I chose that sentence from underneath the picture so that only one or two of my students would be able to get 100 on this test. As you read and study this week, you'll learn what it means, why it's important as you select your standards and prioritize them. Remember, you're designing your curriculum, not following another curriculum that you already have or like. As we begin our journey through the rest of this course, you're going to be developing a curriculum plan following the guidelines in Rigorous Curriculum Design, our textbook. Many teachers begin planning their instruction with their textbook as the guide, or time-honored activities as the guide. But instruction should follow a roadmap that leads to the designated learning goals for the content area. Not doing that is like heading down a road without a map and unsure of the destination. If you don't begin with the end in mind, you probably won't reach it. Wiggins and McTeague of Understanding by Design put it this way. To put it in an odd way, too many teachers focus on the teaching and not the learning. They spend most of their time thinking first about what they will do, what materials they will use, and what they will ask students to do rather than first considering what the learner will need in order to accomplish the learning goals. Consider a typical episode of what might be called content-focused design instead of results-focused design. The teacher might base a lesson on a particular topic such as racial prejudice. Select a resource, like the book To Kill a Mockingbird, and choose specific instructional methods based on the resource and topic, such as Socratic seminar to discuss the book and cooperative groups to analyze the stereotypical images in films and on television. The teacher's hope is thereby to cause learning and meet a few English language arts standards. Finally, the teacher might think up a few essay questions and quizzes for assessing students' and understanding of a book. Wilson and McTeague, the originators of backward design, also discuss the twin sins of traditional design: activity-oriented design and coverage. Activity-oriented is a hands-on activity that accomplishes no learning goal, and coverage is trudging through the textbook page by page. Activity-oriented occurs more on the elementary level, and coverage occurs more on the secondary level. Wiggins and McTeague, 2005, differentiate between coverage and purposeful survey. Coverage has unending facts, ideas, readings, with no idea of the overarching ideas or purposes for the reading, and neither gets to the big ideas of the content. Backward design asks you to start with the results in mind and then plan every part of your curriculum to allow students to reach those learning goals. So this week we're starting to develop your curriculum. The very first step in developing a curriculum is to decide the subject area and the grade for which you're developing the curriculum. I realize some of the subjects in high school aren't grade specific. You may have Algebra 2 or Physics or a music class, but in elementary you will have a subject area and you will have a grade. Some of those subject areas cover a lot of things, such as language arts, includes reading and writing and spelling and many other subjects. So if you pick an area broad like that, you're going to want to delineate which subject area you want. And you'll find that when you look at the Common Core standards or your state standards or national standards for that particular subject area. You'll be able to find it. And that's what I want you to work from to prioritize your standards. Don't use your textbook. Don't use the standards listed in the front of your curriculum guide. I want you to use Common Core standards, and you'll need to identify them for me so I'll know that I will know the source of them. You're also going to be asked to add in a biblical principle or standard that maybe your Christian school uses or that you use as a basis for your teaching in this subject area. And I'm going to ask you to prioritize the standards. You'll be using Exhibit 1.1 on page 19. You can actually copy that and use it, or you can put the same information in whatever form you wish, as long as you use that information as you prioritize your standards. Now, the standards that you do not have as priority standards will be supporting standards. So eventually you're going to include those too. So we're not going to leave any standards out. We're just going to prioritize them as your textbook discussed. When you think about standards, I want you to think about what your students really need to be able to know and do at the end of the year. In this particular content area, what do you expect them to be able to accomplish? What's your ultimate goal for them? Think about the order your subject should be taught in. If you're teaching a concept, what's the order you would teach it in? Don't think about your curriculum or what you've done in the past. Think about what you want to do as a teacher, what you want your students to be able to do, and how you're going to be able to enable them to do it. I'm not saying that the curriculum you design is going to be perfect, but I am saying that when you design the curriculum and you start off with your goals in mind, the students will learn and they'll be able to accomplish those goals. And that's what you want as a teacher.